Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander's Core Studio. Welcome to the show. So today's episode comes to you courtesy of one of my amazing patrons, Daryl. And Daryl has been supporting this channel as a general tier patron, and I truly couldn't do this without the support from amazing patrons like Daryl. So again, Daryl, thank you again. And for the personalized deck tech, Daryl chose a partner pairing that is really spicy. Let's start things off with Rograkh, son of Rohgahh, a 0/1 Kobold warrior for 0 mana, that's right, that has First Strike, Menace, and Trample, and of course, partner, so we can have 2 commanders. And the other one is really the focus of this deck and what makes this deck churn, though Rog can be a heavy-hitting, disgusting creature once we get things going, but Akroma, Vision of Ixidor, a 6/6 angel that costs 7 mana in white, flying, First Strike, Vigilance, Trample at the beginning of each combat until end of turn. Each other creature you control gets +1 if it has flying. Same is true for First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Protection, Reach, Trample, Vigilance, and yes, partner. So, at the very least, Rog is going to be getting +4/+4 because of all those keywords, essentially. But also, we've got some other ways to have more keywords. And of course, Rog isn't the only one with keyword soup. We've got a ton of creatures in this deck that have a ton of keywords on them. So many that your head will spin, or opponent's heads will spin, trying to keep track of all of it. But yes, we've got a lot of amazing keywords that help us out in a lot of different ways. We hit even harder with this commander. It's essentially like, hey, massive Anthem effect every turn that can be up to like +10/+10 if we really have things going. So yes, a lot of amazing things happen with this kind of a combination when you get the deck going. If you are interested in this amazing pairing, it's an incredibly budget-friendly deck. Even though Akroma itself is like $6, the rest of the deck is so budget-friendly. The total cost to the deck, according to Moxfield, is just $28.39. Now, keep in mind, that doesn't include the cost of shipping or basics, but you might already have those basics, or you can get them from LGS or your friends, or just buy them in bulk. Regardless, if you are interested in this commander combination, check out that deck list link in the description below. Now, with all that said, let's get into the tactics. First up, let's start off with things that are low to the ground. Just 1 mana for Miner's Guidewing, a 1/1 bird that has flying and vigilance. So again, Akroman's like, you're actually a 3/3. When it dies, target creature control explores. So also some potential value when it dies as well. Next up, Ruin Lurker Bat, a 1/1 bat with flying and lifelink. So again, basically a 3/3 for this deck that costs a single mana. At the beginning of your end step, if you descend this turn, scry 1. So again, if we had a permanent card put in our grave from anywhere, we get to scry 1. So that's very nice. Next up though, Lone Rider, a 1/1 human knight that costs 2 mana. It also only has 2 keywords. I do say only because we've got quite a few later we're going to be talking about with a lot more than that. That being said, First Strike and Lifelink, very nice. But at the beginning of end step, we gain 3 more life this turn, which again, we will if we hit with this because this has lifelink, and again, it's going to be a 3/3 with our commander's boost. We get to flip it over, and it turns into It That Rides as 1, a 4/4 with 3 keywords again. First Strike, Trample, lifelink, so again, our commander will pump this 3. Basically 7/7 for 2 mana. Lovely. Next up, Argus Cause, Spirit of Justice, a 2/4 for 4 mana. Double Strike, Vigilance. Double Strike does so much work with this kind of a commander because, again, that pump effect is kind of doubled with it. Yeah, so basically hitting as, again, basically, what, 4 power, so 8 with that double strike. That being said, whenever it enters battlefield or attacks, choose up to 1 target creature. If it's suspected, exile it, otherwise suspected. So this can be some kind of removal for us if we need to, but also can just like give a creature menace. So again, we can also just say, oh hey, you're suspected, you have menace, therefore yeah, our commander is going to pump even further. But now let's go into tactic number 2, keyword soup, because again, like I mentioned, yeah, 2 is like a low number of keywords that we have on creatures. So let's start with Stone Coil Serpent, a 0/0 that we technically could just cast for 0 if we really want to. Not really, but we're not going to. We're at least going to cast it for 1 because we want to keep it in play. It is battlefield X counters on it. Reach, Trample, protects for multicolored. Again, our commander is an Anthem effect, but like a temporary one. It gets like until end of turn, and then again next combat, and then again next combat. So at least get 1 counter on this. That being said, yeah, this can become quite massive, be a really heavy hitter from us. Next up, Elite Inquisitor, a 2/2 human soldier with First Strike, Vigilance, and protection from vampires and werewolves and zombies. Again, it has protection, so that counts as a little boost for our commander as well. 3 keywords technically. Doesn't really matter if our opponents don't have any vampires, werewolves, or zombies, but if they do, even better. Next up, Swiftblade Vindicator. Again, all these low ground like 2-cost creatures are crazy that have so many keywords because they get, again, with these that have 3+3+3. So let's say 4/4 basically for 2 mana that also has Double Strike, Vigilance, and Trample. So this is hitting for 8 damage vigilantly with Trample. Ow! Next up, Aerial Responder, a 2/3 Dwarf Soldier for 3 mana. Again, 3 keywords, Flying, Vigilance, Lifelink. So swing through the air with 5 damage. Gain a lot of life. Then we got Danth the Capuchin Paragon, a 2/2 Human Knight that costs 3 mana, or an equipment spell you cast costs 1 to cast. That equipment can come in handy. On top of that, First Strike, Vigilance, and Lifelink. Again, some amazing keywords to have. Then we've got Adult Gold Dragon. 4/3 for 5 mana, but again, it's basically hitting for 7 because it has 3 keywords. Flying, Lifelink, and Haste, so swing right away, gain a lot of life and get through on your opponents. Boon Bringer Valkyrie, a 4/4 with backup, so again, when enters the battlefield, you get a counter-target creature. If it's another creature, it gains the following abilities on a turn, so give something even more keywords when this comes into play. Flying, First Strike, and Lifelink. And also, just having that is great. Then we've got Dantha Benalia's Hope, a 4/4 with First Strike, Vigilance, and Lifelink. Again, 3 great keywords. When it enters the battlefield, we can also cheat out an equipment and attach it, well, from our graveyard or from our hand onto Dantha. Again, I didn't say ore because we don't have any ores, but we do have equipment. Moving on. Othari Sun's Glory, a 3/3 Phoenix for 5 mana. Flying, Lifelink, Haste, so again 3, hitting for an extra 3 damage. When it attacks, you get an experience counter, then create a 2/2 red rebel creature token that's tapped and attack for each experience counter you have. The longer the game goes, the bigger and bigger and bigger our army gets. On top of that, though, we can tap an untapped rebel we control by paying 2 and Boros colors to return from our graveyard to the battlefield tap. So if you got one of those rebels in play, that can help get this back. Sunblade Angel, very simple, very effective. 3/3, but again, 4 keywords. Flying, First Strike, Vigilance, Lifelink. So it's basically a 7/7. Just disgusting creature. Akroma, Angel of Fury, a 6/6 that we can actually just have as a little morph, a 2/2. Can't be countered. Flying, triple protection from white, protection from blue. So again, basically +3/+3. It also has Fire Breathing too, so it can hit for even more. Finally, the king of keywords, Zetalpal Primal Dawn, a 4/8 Elder Dinosaur for 8 mana, but we get Flying, Double Strike, Vigilance, Trample, and Indestructible. We're going to be hitting for an absolute ton with this. Now, as good as all these cards are, there is one, in my opinion, that stands above the rest, and that is the golden pig of this deck, and that is Audri Lunar Marshal. My goodness, is this so effective with this commander. A 3/3 Human Soldier for 4 mana. At the beginning of each combat, creature control gain First Strike until end of turn if you control a creature that has First Strike. The same is true for Flying, Death Touch, Double Strike, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Reach, Skulk, Trample, and Vigilance. I think the only one that doesn't cross over is actually Skulk, but that's fine with our commander. Regardless, we are giving out every single one of our keywords, essentially, to all of our creatures. So if one of our creatures has Flying, all of them have Flying, and yeah, there's a lot of keywords already just on both of our commanders to dish out to everything. So this dishes out those keywords, and yeah, you can stack it however you want. So dish out the keywords first, and then your commander's like, hey, everyone's got keywords. A lot of extra power. This makes it so our army is just disgusting, just unstoppable, just amazing. So yeah, it pairs incredibly well with our commanders. A great card, definitely in my opinion, worthy of the title of the Golden Pig. But of course, we also have some other ways to share some keywords with our team. So let's move on to tactic number 4. Sharing is caring. First up, always watching. Enchantment for 3 mana. Non-token creatures you control get ++1 and have Vigilance. So it's kind of like also +2/+2 in a way, because again, our commander Akroma is going to say, oh, you have Vigilance? Awesome. Get some extra power and toughness. Then we've got Archetype of Aggression. This helps on 2 different ways. All creatures you control have Trample, essentially, and creatures opposed to control lose Trample, can't have or gain Trample. So again, our army gets Trample, additional ++1 from our commander, and also, hey, opponents, you're not coming through on us with Trample. Next up, we've got Goblin War Drums. This is worded in the old weird way, but it has been errated at this point, where it's basically like creatures you control have Menace. So there you go. An enchantment for 3 that says, hey, your creatures are hard to block and also hit even harder thanks to your commander. Sign me up for that. Rising of the Day, enchantment for 3 mana. Creatures control have haste, so again, swing right away with your creatures, get some extra pump from your commander. On top of that, legendary creatures you control get +1 with 0, so an extra little pump for our legends. Angelic Field Marshal, pretty low to the ground. 4 mana, 3/3 flyer, but again, already getting that extra +1. On top of that, as long as you control your commander, it gets +2/+2, and creature control get Vigilance. So, yeah, this will be Flying, Vigilant, +2/+2, so it's 5. That's basically 7/7 with our commander pumping, and also, again, giving Vigilance to everything. That's amazing. Heliod, God of the Sun. This one can be very helpful too. 5/6 Indestructible God. If you've got your Devotion of White, less than 5, it's not a creature, but when you do, it is a really good creature. On top of that, other creatures you control have Vigilance, so again, helping out our entire team. And we can make some cat enchantment creature tokens if we want that are 2/1s. Then there's Thraben Watcher, 2/2. Angel with Flying and Vigilance. Again, basically going to be hitting for 4. On top of that, other non-token creature you control get +1 and have Vigilance, so kind of like that always watching type approach. Then there's Valor. This one can help us either in play as a, 3/3 with first strike, basically, thanks to our commander, but also, and more importantly, in our graveyard, when we get that there, if we control a planes, which we will, play more basics, they're amazing, creature control at first strike. Then there's Urbass the Hidden, again, helps us out in 2 different aspects, essentially. We have creatures, and they're going to have haste. Lovely. All of our creatures have haste. Swing right away. On top of that, though, our creatures our opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. So slow down your opponents when it comes to blocks, or, if they've got hasty creatures, you can't attack them with them either. Then we've got Rage, Reflection, and Enchantment for 6 mana. Well worth that cost. Creatures you control double strike. Again, an amazing keyword to have. Basically doubles up the amount that our team is hitting, essentially. And also with our commander, a little bit of pump goes a long way with double strike. Finally, though, Sarah's Guardian, a 5/5 flying vigilant angel, which again is basically going to be a 7/7. On top of that, other creature control vigilance. So again, swing freely, keep your creatures back for defense as well, and also get that extra pump from your commander. Moving on, though, let's move on to attack number 5, Suit Up, because, kind of like I referred to earlier, we got some great equipment that can help us out a lot. First up, Eater Virtue. This card is crazy good in this stack. Cost 1, equip creature gets +2/+0. Equip just 1. When the equip creature dies, exile it. As long as a card exile with Eater Virtue has flying, equip creature has flying. The same is true for First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Protection, Reach, Trample, and Vigilance. So again, basically everything our commander cares about, this cares about, and we can just attach this to whatever creature and give them all the keywords in the world. Until they get taken out, then we give the next creature all the keywords in the world. Moving on, Haunted Cloak. How about just 3 keywords? That's great too. Cost 3, cost 1 to equip, Vigilance, Trample, Haste. What's not to love about that? Sword of Vengeance, also a great one too. +2/+0, First Strikes, Vigilance, Trample, and Haste as well. So that is 4 keywords right there, plus the +2/+0. So that's basically what, +6, +4, essentially? So yeah, that's a lot of extra damage for us. But now let's move on to tactic number 6, Smash It All, because on top of smashing our opponent's faces with our army, we're also going to smash their permanents. So first up, Aurelia's Vindicator, a 4/2 angel with flying, lifelink, and ward 2. On top of that, Disguise It for X3 and a white. When it's turned face up, exile up to X other target creatures from the battlefield and our creature cards from graveyards. Leaves the battlefield, return the exile cards back to the owner's hands. Then we've got Gimli's Reckless Might, yet another way to give our entire team haste, so that is huge. On top of that, though, whenever you attack, if creatures you control have total power 8 or greater, targeting attacking creature you control fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. So, again, we're going to have a massive army with massive creatures out there. We can fight some things and take them out very easily. Blade Griff Prototype, a 3/2 flyer itself for 5 mana. Deals combination to player destroy target non-land permanent of that player's choice that one of your opponents controls. Glorybringer, no choice for them here. A 4/4 flying hasty dragon that's, again, basically going to be hitting as a 6/6. You may exert it as it attacks when you do 4 damage target non-dragon creature an opponent controls. Then there's Centaurian General, a 5/5 alien soldier for trample and haste. So again, additional +2/+2 basically when it and at least other 2 creatures attack, which that's going to happen every time basically. We've got so many creatures to swing with. For each opponent, go up to 1 target creature the player controls. Those creatures can't block this turn, so get through on them and send those creatures into bad situations. Volatile Arsonist, a 4/4 menace hasty creature. So again, basically +2/+2 right there. When it attacks, deals 1 damage each to up to 1 target creature, up to 1 target player, up to 1 target planeswalker. Also flips over to a 5/5 with menace and haste again. And it's going to be 2 damage instead of that 1. Then there's Steel Hellcat, a 5/5 flyer, which has basically like artifact fire breathing kind of. +1/+0 for 2 mana. X, destroy each non-land permanent with mana value X whose controller was dealt combat damage by Steel Hellcat this turn. Activate only once each turn. Sunblast Angel, this can be brutal because again, we can very easily, we've got many ways to give our creatures vigilance. A 4/5 flying angel for 6 mana, enters the battlefield to destroy our tapped creatures. Again, if we've got vigilance for our creatures, they're not going to be tapped. Our opponent's creatures might not be so lucky though. Angel of Serenity, a 5/6 flying angel for 7 mana, enters the battlefield, exiles up to 3 other target creatures from graveyards in the battlefield, essentially leaves the battlefield, return those cards back to the owner's hands. And finally, Angel of the Ruins, again, 5/7 flying angel for 7 mana, enters the battlefield, permanently get rid of 2 artifacts and or enchantments by exiling them. Next up, though, let's move on to tactic number 7, Dig Deep, and dig deep we shall with certain creatures. Wojek Investigator, a 2/4 Angel Detective, flying and vigilance again, extra +2/+2. Lovely. Give her up, keep investigate. Once for each opponent has more cards in hand than you. So yeah, can turn into some juicy card advantage for us. Neheb, Dreadhorde Champion, 5/4 trampling. Oh my goodness, creature that can just do a lot of things for us. When it deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, we can discard any number of cards. We do draw that many cards, so basically wheel, and also add that much red, so you get to use that mana until the end of the turn. So like basically kind of like a ritual effect / like a replacement card. Lovely. Next up, Aerial Extortionist, a 4/3 flyer, enters the battlefield, deals combat damage to a player. Exile to one target non-land permanent for as long as the card remains exiled. Its owner may cast it. So kind of like a, hey, let's get rid of that temporarily, and then it'll come back when you actually pay for it again. Whenever the player casts a spell from anywhere other than their hand, draw a card. So that can actually give us a lot of value throughout the game, because there's a lot of different ways players can cast spells from outside of their hand. Like, you know, Impulse Draw, which is quite popular these days. Combustible Gearhulk, an amazing card as well. 6/6 first strike, ETB. Target opponent may have you draw 3 cards. If they don't, let's mill those 3 cards and all of a sudden deal damage equal to the total mana value of all those cards to that opponent's face. So yeah, they're gonna let you draw. Ruin Grinder, a 7/4 menace construct. When it dies, each player may discard their hand and draw 7 cards. So hey, do you want to wheel? Great. If not, we can actually mountain cycle with this too. Twilight Shepherd, a great way to ensure that, hey, a board wipe just doesn't wreck us. A 5/5 flying vigilant angel enters the battlefield. Return to your hand all cards in your graveyard that are put there from the battlefield this turn. It also has persist, so we get to do that again when it's taken care of. Dragon Mage, a 5/5 flyer, deals combat to player. Everyone wheels. Discard their hand. Draw 7 cards. Null Spine Dragon, a 7/5 flyer, enters the battlefield. We can discard our hand and draw cards equal to damage dealt target opponent this turn. We can hit for a ton with this deck. So yeah, we can draw an absurd amount of cards with this. Speaking of which, Sandstone Oracle, a 4/4 Flying Sphinx. Cost 7, enters battlefield, choose an opponent. They've got more cards in hand than us. Draw cards equal to difference. So, hey, you got 7 cards over there? We got 1. Thanks for the 6 cards. Appreciate it. Next up, though, it's going to do tactic number 8, ramping up. First up, of course, there's Wayfarer's Bauble. Pay 2 taps, sacrifice, get a base land to play, tap. Everflowing Chalice, very flexible mana rock. Pay 2 taps for 1, 4 taps for 2, etc., etc. Arcane Signet, very efficient, very effective. Taps for either of our colors for just 2 mana. Boros Signet can filter our mana into our colors for just 1 mana. Cold Steel Heart enters battlefield, tap. We can choose a color when it enters battlefield. It taps for either one of our colors. Then there's Felwar Stone. It can tap for either of our colors most of the time, depending on what our opponent's land situation is. Mind Soak can tap for a colorless, or we can pay 1 to tap and sacrifice to draw a card. Talisman Conviction can actually tap for a colorless or either of our colors, but it's 1 damage to us. 1 damage is no big deal in Commander. Then we've got Worn Power Stone, enters, tap, taps for 2. Hedron Archive does not enter the battlefield, tap. Taps for 2, we can pay 2 to tap and sacrifice to draw 2 cards. In Space Marine Scout, 2/1 first strike and vigilance. So again, keyword soup. On top of that, when it enters the battlefield, opponent controls more lands than us. Go get a planes, on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. But finally, let's talk about tactic number 9, Great Lands, where I talk about Great Lands. First up, Slayer Stronghold. Tap for a colorless, or pay Boros colors, tap. Target creature gets +2/+0, gains vigilance, and haste until end of turn. So again, 2 keywords, extra basically, +2/+2 from that too. And some Hone Forge of the Legion. Tap for colorless, or hey, pay 2 and Boros colors, tap. Target creature gains double strike until end of turn. Again, double strike is massive with this kind of a pump commander. Yeah, a lovely keyword to have. But now as this episode is coming to a close, it's time for me to hear from you. So in the comments below, let me know your thoughts are on this deck. If you are interested in this amazing deck, well, make sure you check out that card list link in the description below. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.